to this question. Do you think an ID for all adults in the UK is a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, thank you, Panos, for the introduction and for the question. I think, given my background, so I'm Argentinian, and I also lived in different places, such as New Zealand, and as well as in Belgium and in the UK. And it was only in the UK that I did not have to have an ID. In Argentina, it's mandatory, so it is in Belgium. And to me, it's quite odd to put the question, really. And I think the issue that I see with Keir Starmer's proposals, or the one that's out there, is that it's going to be a digital one. And what happens when the infrastructure doesn't work, or if there is an issue with electricity, as we have seen in Spain a few months back and in France. And so I think the issue is more the digital aspect of it and not the ID in itself. We already have passports that have pictures and have data on us. And with this, I think I give the floor back. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm still not sure, Daniel, whether you are a yes or a no, because you said you have ID in every other, or you had an ID in other countries. So were you happy with having an ID in other countries, and was it a paper ID?
It is a paper ID, yes. And the question is whether I am happy or not. I think I really never put that question to myself because it was something that was given. If you ask me now, I do think that it's quite useful to have your data, your name, your surname, and your address, and the rest of it on you with a picture of you, because you're easily recognizable. So if something happens to you and you lose consciousness, or you have an accident and they go through your wallet and then, oh, this is the guy, this is the insurance that he has, or this is his address, or this is his contact details, etc. I think you in the UK, you already have something like this, but it does not have a picture. It's just a number, and not anyone at a given moment is carrying it with him or with her. So I think that's the question. And I think this is why they want to make it digital on your phone, because everyone has a phone all the time. But again, to the question is whether I'm happy or not. I think regardless of my happiness, it is true and a fact that it can be useful sometimes. So from that perspective, I would reply to the question that yes, I would be happy where those circumstances come about.
Thanks for that, Daniel.
For me, the biggest issue is privacy and security. I think the other issue for me that stands out is looking at countries that have digital IDs and
what problems do you think an ID card could solve in the future in the UK? Daniel?
Yes. I think that's a broad question. What particular problems could sort out? I would try and answer it by just giving this piece of information. I understand that you would have some Lady J was speaking about, you have your driver's license, and then you have your passport, and you have all these different numbers. And I think that if you were to have an umbrella system in which every single citizen or foreign national that's living and inhabiting the UK has his or her own ID card, which could easily be the number, just the national insurance number, and then a picture, and then it's just printed out, then you would have a harmonization within the system in which you can recognize and have the data of all citizens for governmental purposes, for benefits or for for planning, etc. I think these umbrella issues, you would get some information that could be valuable for policy making. Then, if this is used in for racism or for what's the right wing or the extreme right wing, the way they weaponize it and the rest of it, that's a different question. And I don't know whether we're debating this or not. So I would like a point of clarification on this issue. Are we discussing IDs because we're relating IDs to discrimination or Nigel Farage's policies? So what are we discussing here? We're discussing IDs in isolation or related to discrimination? Thank you.
It's an open discussion on anything and everything, but you might be carrying a phone with you at all times. Daniel, what would you like to say?
Yes, I'd like to because you made a comment about and it was made already, the privacy and the GDPR and how we are afraid about government taking our data and the rest of it. And I think we really need to realize that it's not just government that's taking our data. We are we have our phones, we are on social media, everything is getting captured every single second, every single tap, every single scroll, and all the data. There are multiple databases out there, your university, school, work, government. So I think this worry about privacy, we really need to not just think about ID cards, but more generally. And I think there is a good point to be made, and this is something that you were just laying out, that everyone has their phones and so on. And of course, I'm against the digital ID card, but I'm more for a paper ID card. And why? Because suppose this adult, this grown-up person, or this person that might have an illness or something, if they have an ID card and they passed out, and the blood type maybe via their documents. So it could mean that you could save his life by having this information to hand if they lost consciousness. So I think that's a good point to make, because you might not have your passport or your driver's license, but you might have your ID card.
It's a good point, Daniel. Daniel, what would you like to say?
Yes, we say that if you have your digital ID, then because you have your phone all the time, that will work. But let me just rebut that by saying that your phone, in order to access your phone, you need to have a Face ID or a code. And if the person passed out, then you wouldn't be able to get in the phone. So the ID doesn't really work from that perspective. But then on the positive side of the physical ID cards, you could have a situation in which the ID card contains the passport, contains the national insurance number, contains your driver's license, etc., etc. And that would mean that you would have a system which is easier, it's cheaper, and is harmonized. And of course, this would not be made one year to the next. This should be a plan, a five-year plan. And this is how you would do it. You just know, because if you go out there and you just say we're going to have digital ID cards, and then we will prevent people from abroad from working here illegally or under the table, it's just nonsense. But if you really think about it seriously and you say how can we make the system better, then having one harmonized system in which all your data and is protected by government, and you should be of course agreeing with it as we do here in Europe with the GDPR, etc. I think that you could have a system which is easier, less complex and cheaper than having different ID cards for different things. And I think this is a crucial point on the good side, let's say, of the motion here.
Thank you, Daniel. What I'm saying is, if this becomes compulsory, and you have to have a digital version of it on your mobile phone, it might cut a lot of crime down very quickly, because it might. Daniel, what do you want to say?
I think if indeed Keir Starmer is doing this because he wants to appease a certain portion of the electorate, and by saying that if you have an ID, then you wouldn't have a black market, then you wouldn't have illegal immigration, or you wouldn't have illegal workers, there might not be illegal migrants. You just need to look at different countries, and the ones that have indeed ID cards, Argentina or Belgium for that matter. And we do also have illegal immigration here. We also have a black market here. So that's not gonna cut it, is it?
Daniel, sorry, let me just stop you there. I know countries that have IDs, but those IDs do not have all the kind of information that this new ID might have.
And well, that's good. Again, it should be a plan in which you do it thoroughly and properly. You do not do it just because of there is political hit of migrants coming crossing the channel. I think that's the issue here. If you want to have a real plan, and then I think society should discuss it. What should be included? What should not be included? Should it be a passport? Should it be a driver's license? Should it have the national insurance number? Who should have it? From what age? How do you change the pictures every 7 years, etc., etc., etc.? That would take time, and that would take involvement, and that would take engagement from communities and from the society. And those, I think, it's just going too fast. It's just politics. It's just internal politics in the UK, that they believe that just by saying this, they're going to just get a few votes or a few points in a Gallup poll. And I think it's just ludicrous.
Daniel, if this is brought in to stop illegal migration, I would be against it. On a voluntary basis, there are lots of things available, but not everyone carries them all the time because it's not compulsory. Daniel, what would you like to say?
Wait, so you want to make it compulsory, is that right?
Well, if it becomes compulsory for everyone, then it will solve a lot of problems. Daniel, what would you like to say?
Yes, I think going back to your example, what if this person would not have been able to speak? And let's say this phone ID, digital ID, it was already in place and you were in the UK and not in Spain. And the person would not be able to communicate. And they would have their phone with their ID and everything. How would you be able to access it? This is my question. If the person cannot recall the code and etc., how would the police or how would the ambulance, how would anyone access the phone if the person is unable to recall it?
Let me give you a suggestion. Okay, I carry an iPhone on me, right? And it's an old iPhone, so if I put my finger on the bottom of the iPhone, it unlocks it. If I pass out, someone could put my finger on my iPhone and could unlock it for emergency services.
So you would have to have a situation in which everyone should have not just their ID, but they should have the fingerprints taken for the phone. Is it?
I'm just giving an idea of something positive that could come out of a possible ID in the future. I'm thinking only in terms of in an emergency, how can we be helpful to someone who could die unless we give them the help they need immediately? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking about illegal immigrants or petty thefts or stuff like that. I'm thinking, wouldn't it be good if people with medical conditions had information on their ID, which had their name, their address, their GP, their blood group, anything that they should or shouldn't be given? I'm thinking of positive stuff.
I agree. Just one point of clarification here. This is what I said at the beginning. I'm not against IDs per se, but if you had a situation in which you would have this digital ID that you're saying, but you would also have a mandatory ID, which it is agreed upon in society, etc., that has a QR code in which the person who passes out has both the digital one, and if the digital one doesn't work, the person should have their physical one, which contains all the information, and easily another person with a phone could just a police or an ambulance or a doctor just scan that QR code and get the information that they need.
I think everyone's going to say everyone should tattoo their QR code on their body, so...
That is what I was going to say.
A chip,
And so
chip in the skull. Chip in the skull.
What I was going to say was, well, why not put
On the forehead, yeah.
Yes.
Is that with or without a swastika?
the Bible talks about it, doesn't it? Like,
Well, yeah, I wouldn't put anything on my forehead. Daniel, what would you like to say? Daniel was the only one, sensible one, with a hand up. Daniel.
Yes, I think it is a joke that you would have to get a tattoo with the QR code. I think it's just, and again, it's ludicrous. Different thing is an ID card or a digital ID card, which is external to your body. I think it's very important to make that distinction. And we should just think about Eugenics and a movie actually from the 90s, Gattaca, for those who have seen it, and how can very rapidly could just deteriorate this sort of system and getting into a sort of dystopia, which is not something that anyone wants to see.
I haven't seen that movie, sorry, I can't comment on that. But you can actually have a microchip implanted inside the hand, and they can then open and lock the door by putting their hand close to the mechanism on the door. Daniel.
I think, Panos, there is a TV show, Black Mirror, which actually did go in that direction. The episode is The Entire History of You, and it's Black Mirror, and it's a sort of grain that goes from the neck, and someone gets it stolen from the neck. So I think you could get in a situation, again, in a very dystopian situation, if we start going down the path about putting things underneath our skin. I do think, and I agree with you, for certain cases might be important, using AI for people that have lost a limb or they are unable to do things, and then you do use some mechanics for their body, etc. But as a general thing, having everyone with a chip underneath their skin, I am absolutely against it.
All right, the question was, is an ID for all adults in the UK a good idea or not? So I'd like you to give me, in around a minute, your final conclusion and your final decision. Have you changed your mind? Were you a no and now you're still a no, or a yes and have become a no? Daniel, would you like to go first?
Yes, of course. I think first I would like to just react to the comment of 1984, George Orwell's. I think we are already there. We have screens all the time with us, the phones, we have smart TVs and computers and microphones all the time. So I think we are already living in that age. From the ID perspective, I would repeat my point, which is not just a digital ID, but a physical ID containing all your information. I think it's a good idea. I think it should be done in a way which gets all the opinion from every corner of the country, and very slowly move toward that direction, and not just because of the politics of the day. I think this is a very important distinction that we have to make here tonight. Thank you.
Daniel, thank you very much.